Hello and
Oh,
welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. I want to introduce to you today my guest, Cindy. Cindy has introduced me to a beverage that has completely changed my hope for the future of delicious health promoting beverages that are also focused on collagen. Now, in the beauty world, now a lot of you have been listening to me for ages around beauty and different beauty techniques and beauty. As we age, our collagen decreases. And how can we get collagen from natural sources? We hear from the Chinese medical system, it's from shark cartilage. We hear from our recent media that we need collagen from animals. There's collagen from milk. There's all these different types of collagen, but what she's doing is revolutionary. Cindy, tell us about Purewild. Tell us about yourself and what led to this. This is so interesting.
well, Helene, thanks for interviewing me. First of all, I love talking about collagen. It's the craziest thing. But I am over 60, and I noticed that when I was over 50, I started having joint issues, and going through menopause, which everyone has that to look forward to, is a big change. And you feel it in your joints, you feel it in exercise. I'm a big workout person. I think that's really the key to longevity, muscle strength, and bone strength. So I was told for probably over 8 or 9 years that I needed a knee replacement from all the spinning classes, running, all of the things I was doing. And I refused to do that. I did physical therapy. I had PRP injections. If you're not familiar with them, well, that's something you can look into, but they're very helpful. But the point is, if you do all of those things and you don't have the right nutrition in your body to support the effort, it's not as effective. So I was looking into the nutrition that I could add in, and that's when I really started looking into collagen. Collagen is sort of new to the market. I would say it's been on the market about 4 to 5 years in mainstream, maybe 4 years. And the big companies that came out with collagen products that you see on the shelves in Whole Foods, they're basically bovine collagen, and they're stored in plastic. So being a sustainable I want to support the climate. And so I didn't want to buy plastic. I don't really buy bovine cattle products, because I noticed that that really contributes to climate change. So I started looking into what the different types of collagen are. And you mentioned shark cartilage and those different things. So I really started doing a deep dive into that. And I learned that bovine collagen is a larger protein, so it's not as easily absorbed.
Right.
It's not a sustainable product because it's a bovine product. And I frankly didn't like the taste and the consistency. So I started ordering every collagen you could find that, and just like experimenting and learning more about marine collagen. There is aviary collagen, which is birds, and I felt kind of uncomfortable with that. I didn't.
Oh, right. Bird's nest. They do that in Chinese medicine, right? Is that what you
Not
meant?
bird's nest. No, I'm talking about chicken bones.
Oh,
I'm talking
yeah.
about birds. Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
great.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
the
Bone
marine
broth, right?
collagen, yeah, bone broth, chicken broth, it's fantastic. But the marine collagen is the smallest protein, so it's the most bioavailable. It's the most easily absorbed. And after the age of 20, we lose 1 to 2% a year. So by the age of 40, you could have lost 20% of the collagen in your body. And collagen is 30% of our protein. It supports skin, hair, bone strength, more importantly,
Yeah.
heart health, eye strength. Really, it's not a beauty product per se.
It's all
As
connective
it's been
tissue,
marketed.
right?
Yeah,
All connective tissue.
it's a wellness product. And it's like, I equate it to kind of like vitamin C. It's something you need to add in every day. It's a daily dose. So I started looking at it like that. I looked at all the different marine collagens out there, and I learned that the shark cartilage isn't sustainable. They're generally warm water fish. They don't use the whole fish. They throw the rest of it back in the ocean. It's a very unsustainable practice. A lot of the fish collagen is farmed tilapia in Southeast Asia. So I didn't think that was the most sustainable or clean product. And I found a company in Nova Scotia. It's family owned since 1947. They make pharmaceutical grade and hospital collagen products. And for instance, wound care, hospitals take collagen patches for burn victims and
Right.
cover them with collagen. So that's this company. And I ordered their product. It's fantastic. I would put it in a glass of wine while I was making dinner at night, just a teaspoon, it would disappear. So I thought, I'm going to make collagen wine. That's a great idea. You know, who knew? And anyway, long story short, I ended up making, as you've seen, my regular Purewild collagen drinks, just because I liked the flavor and I liked the ability to get a daily dose of collagen in a tasteful juice drink. It was easy. I didn't have to make a smoothie. I didn't have to dump it into coffee or tea, you know, and deal with a hot drink. So that was just the easiest thing for me. And
So just to pause there, and her flavors are extremely intelligent, right? Holy basil, turmeric. I mean, you can tell us way more about those, but I mean, the flavors and the recipes, the combinations that you chose are extremely intelligent.
thanks. Well, I'm from the Bay Area, as you know, San Francisco Bay Area, and I did a junior year abroad in Paris. I studied at the Cordon Bleu in Paris the whole time I was there. I just ate and took cooking classes.
How
And I came
fun.
back to Berkeley. Yeah, really fun. I missed it. I came back to Berkeley to graduate, and I worked at Chez Panisse restaurant in Berkeley while I was a senior. So I've been around food and flavor profiles. That wasn't my career. My career was in film and television. That was what I did while I was raising my daughters. But it's always been very important in our house to have good food. That's just how it is, you know, organic, clean, you know, we cook all the time. And so, I made the drinks for myself. The lime flavor, I just picked the limes off my tree and made lime juice with agave. I picked the limes off my tree and I made lime juice with agave. And that's how I ended up with that flavor. And I'm a ginseng nut, you know, because ginseng gives you a little boost of energy. So I do some ginseng. And there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Each bottle has less than five ingredients or less. I didn't know this, but now I know that in the food business, that's called a clean label product. If you have 5 ingredients or less, it's a clean label product. So without knowing that, I just made that product because that's what I like.
That's incredible. And so if people want to get this beverage, which I highly encourage you to do, where can they find it?
Well, we launched direct to consumer on our website. So you can order at purewildco.com and shipping's included. Hallelujah. We figured out how to price that in. It's also available in grocery stores. I got national distribution. And so I'm in mostly the West Coast, but we're in about 20 states now.
That's exciting.
Like a year and a half. It's been really fast.
That's incredible. Do you ship internationally as well?
Not yet. No, we don't ship internationally. Well, working on it now.
Yeah, maybe. So this is really interesting. So you said you were in film and television, and then so apparently the collagen helped. It helped you feel more vital. It helped you with your joints, and it helped you. Tell us a little about what happened to you as you started taking collagen on a regular basis. I'm really curious.
Well, my knee, which they, 5 doctors over the years told me I needed a knee replacement. I would say my knee is 90% back. It's a combination of the therapy, exercise, PRP, and the collagen addition. So internally, I can really feel it. My hair grows all the time. I'm constantly getting haircuts now. So, the beauty aspect of it has been really helpful, but I just feel stronger, and more muscle strength. We lose muscle strength, especially women over the age of 50. Absolutely. And that to me is the longevity plan.
Yeah, I agree with you about the movement. I mean, I talk a lot about food because my master's degree is in nutrition, but without the movement, there's no food, there's no pill, there's no supplement that's going to replace exercise except for collagen. Now I'm learning. It's so amazing. But exercise is so key, and sedentary lifestyle is really a slow kiss to death.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think now especially with the pandemic where everybody's watching Netflix, binging television, and we're all at our computers all the time, you really have to make an effort, to get up and move. It's the most important thing.
It is. Well, for me, I need it for my brain. I just get kind of grumpy when I don't exercise. So I
Yeah,
really need it.
exactly. Exactly. I know it's
Yeah.
huge. I learned so much about collagen. I became sort of an evangelist and been selling these drinks. And I do have an interesting story. When I first launched, I went into Air One markets in Los Angeles, which
Mhm.
was great because they try a lot of new products. And I kind of thought, well, is this kind of a Southern California thing, or who's the market?
Right.
I went to Northern California and sold really well. And then a store in Texas called Central Market saw them. So they ordered for Texas. And I thought, oh, good, that's interesting. But Central Market is very cutting edge. Anyway, I thought I need to sort of expand and see if this is a nationwide or worldwide product. So, a little bit of the backstory, my mother's from Oklahoma and she's a member of the Choctaw Nation, which makes me Native American member. I mean, I get a Christmas card from the chief every year,
Mhm.
we're in the tribe. So, I went back to Oklahoma City where I still have family and I know people. And I met with the head of the Homeland grocery chain there at 17 stores in Oklahoma. And I thought to myself, this is going to be kind of a difficult sell because I'm meeting with men over 50 in the grocery business in Oklahoma City. And I don't know that they're going to really understand how important collagen is. So I walked into this meeting at 8 in the morning. I didn't say a word for 15 minutes. They told me all about collagen. They knew.
Wow.
It was shocking. It was great. And one of the buyers had actually used the collagen patches that my company made for the pharmaceutical and hospital industry. So they brought it into 17 stores in Oklahoma
I
and
have
they're still
chills.
ordering.
Oh,
And I
that's
just thought,
incredible.
this is it. This is really something that the whole country should be looking into. This isn't an isolated millennial or coastal elite product.
Right,
This is a
right.
product for everybody. And that made me feel really good.
Yeah, I mean that indicator right there out of the, I mean that meeting would have determined kind of which direction your business was going to go in, but in a year and a half. So I think consumers are really aware that the word collagen means something, right? It means less pain, it means more vitality, it means something that they they need to look at. Whereas medicinal mushrooms or other kind of what would be considered fringe kind of health trends that we're seeing. I think collagen is something, especially the boomer industry, and also the 20 to 30s demographic can understand and want to consume.
Well, it's frustrating because I feel like if I'd been having a daily dose of collagen earlier, maybe starting in my 30s or 20s, I wouldn't have had the knee issues that I had. So
Mm,
that's a little bit of, just a hindsight situation, but it wasn't available, back in the olden days. So I
right,
didn't get it. But, it's available now and there's no point in hindsight.
right.
But yeah, so it's an interesting journey learning about this and seeing how it translates to other people. And a lot of my customers are men. I thought it would be
Oh,
a female driven product, but
you
I have
do.
lots of men. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Wow, that is really interesting. I could see a company like Arizona acquiring you one day if that's something that you're
Yeah,
interested in. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be really smart for them to get into.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so what had you pivot? I mean, because I also had a food product once. It wasn't a beverage, but and there was a moment where I had to take a leap of faith. I knew that it was going to take, several $100,000 to get the raw ingredients at quantity. I knew it was going to take a facility. I really understand, what it takes to bring a product to market, a food product to market, and even beverage, because I've been on advisory boards for different companies, beverage companies, and currently am still. And so, what had you say this is it? Like, take that leap of faith because it's a commitment and it's a risk.
Well, that's my nature. I've always been self-employed more or less. I was a director at ABC in San Francisco at KGO TV. And after that, I moved to Los Angeles and started producing movie trailers for myself. I worked for Warner Brothers, had clients at Disney, Paramount, and I just always did my own thing and had my own business. So a couple of reasons why I took a leap of faith with this is that one reason is I live in Ojai, California, which is a very interesting community of developers. Ojai launched Kavita, the probiotic drink. We
Right.
have Nutiva, John Rulak's company, Nutiva, health food supplements. I mean, maybe half a dozen, 8,500 people and a half a dozen food and beverage companies have come out of here. So the Kavita guy lives up the street from me. So I thought, well, if you can do it, I can do it. It's just that simple.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
that's kind of how women are, especially mothers.
Yeah.
we just do it. So I did that, and I made the drinks in my kitchen. I just was making the flavors, and I have a friend who's an actress, and she was not working that weekend. She was in LA. She was kind of in that actress mode where I'll never get another job, when one job ends. That I don't know if you're familiar with acting, but it's very terrifying when you're out of work. So she called and said, "Can I come to Ojai and spend the weekend?" I said, "Sure." She came up. I gave her the drinks in my kitchen. She said, "These are great. You have to make these. You have to start this company." So that was about 2 years ago. And now she's starring as Eliza in Hamilton on Broadway, and I have a company. So we just figured something happened in my kitchen, that helped, that launched us both into a different world. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I had my friend Dave make the label, and I put the label on the bottle, and I thought, I can sell that. That looks just as good as anything else, and it tastes, I just think, it didn't need to be overthought.
Right. Yeah. Well, most of us do it. I overthink everything. So I appreciate that reminder.
Oh.
And a lot of magic happens in the kitchen. I mean, I know you know that with your background, but, and you never really, and I love this. I was at the botanical gardens with all these endangered rare species of plants that are going extinct in Hawaii 2 weeks ago with the CEO of this organization, not just the botanical gardens, but the preservation of these species of these birds and plants. And she said to me on our walk, "You never know what a plant is going to bring to the table."
Mm-hmm.
And I just stood there in awe of her words of wisdom, because that's absolutely the truth. And plant-based collagen is not revolutionary because it's been here for thousands of years, but for our mindset currently in the vernacular, it's revolutionary. And sea algae are also protective, against radiation. They're protective against damage to our thyroid. I mean, there's so many benefits of, an algae, consuming algae on a regular basis. And our culture, specifically the West, it's just not common for us. I mean, in the East, you see it on the table every day, every meal, but not here, not at all.
Oh, I know. My favorite vegan collagen and sea algae is Irish sea moss. For instance, collagen, plant-based collagen isn't 100% protein. So it's a bit of a misnomer to call it a collagen. It's not the same as a collagen protein, but it is a collagen supplement. It supports skin health and particularly thyroid health. But I tried all the pea proteins and all of those things, and I really settled on Irish sea moss. So we're developing another couple of flavors just using Irish sea moss, which it's fun to work with. It's a really interesting product.
Yeah, it's funny because, when you look in the analytics of like your content and who's engaging with it and how, my Irish sea moss post from like 8 years ago it got like the most historically hits out of all. I use Irish sea moss on a regular basis in my kitchen. I mean, I always have the paste in my fridge to make cheeses, to thicken sauces, to put into smoothies, to make into facials. I just use it to make chocolate mousse, like all kinds of things I just need it for. But it's very new for most of us in the West.
Yeah, it's a fantastic product. And again, sourcing the high quality Irish sea moss is the most important part, because there are farms, there's wild caught, there's warm water, there's cold water. It's
purple, white, different colors. It's a good point. Yeah, but I feel like it's at least a little bit safer because where Irish sea moss grows is mostly in the north, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Like Greenland and
there are farms in the Caribbean now. They're called Irish sea moss farms, but they're in very warm water areas. So I didn't really dive into that product. I stayed with the North cold water products, but yeah, it's something to, again, explore. It's tricky. All things are tricky. I don't know
Well,
why.
it's fun to get curious, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I was amazed that I could make lower fat, vegan, creamy cheeses and cream sauces with Irish moss. That was actually the first thing. I'm like, how can I get the flavor and the texture without the calories and fat? Because I put on weight so easily that, you know, it's I got to really watch that. And I put on muscle really easily as well, which is great. But you know, you gotta find the balance in the scales. Which
Yeah.
brings me to my next thing is you are a go-getter. You've had a couple of careers, it sounds like, at least two now. When you went from the film industry.
Yeah, at least.
And you have two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so you've had to be confronted, I would imagine, with juggling it all, with really figuring out how to balance
Mhm.
it. Yeah. What were some of the tools that you use or you've used over the years that have really helped you? Just really for our listeners to understand all the different ways in which we do this.
I don't know. It's, I was divorced. I got divorced when my children were young, like 2 and 4, and I
Okay.
raised them as a single mother the whole time. And my ex-husband didn't want to pay child support, so I was the support of the family. And I even moved my mother to Ojai the last 2 years of her life and took care of her. So I had, I was, yeah, and it's fine. I mean, it was great, and I loved every second. I wouldn't change a thing. But the biggest secret, with working and raising children and doing all that is I just stopped thinking. I don't overthink anything. I became very intuitive about what was next. I make a list in the morning and I finish the list by the end of the day. And then my mind is pretty free. I know it all sounds sort of simplistic, but it worked for me. So I would just go through my list and do things and try to really be present, really be in the moment. Thinking about the past and thinking about the future wasn't getting the laundry done or getting someone to ballet or getting, a movie trailer produced. So it's like tennis. I used to describe it as playing the net when I had kids at home. I was just at the net hitting the ball back all the time. And yeah, of course, there were ups and downs. Of course, it was difficult and I was tired. And I don't think that's any different than anyone else's life. So there was no, I don't want to say pity or any, that's a very strong word, but I never wanted to trade places with anyone. Again, that's another thing about being in Ojai. I live in a small town. So I had a front row seat on everybody's relationship and everyone's family. And it didn't, some marriages, I would not have traded that marriage for being single ever, or some of the relationships I saw, some of the parenting styles. I just learned so much about what we have in our home, each of us, and how to appreciate that.
Oh,
So I,
such great
yeah,
messages. Yeah,
yeah.
what each of us have in our homes. And I think that we take it for granted, or we oftentimes think it's not enough. And it needs so much improvement that we can't even, relax. So I think these are really important messages to hear for myself, and I'm sure for our listeners,
Yeah.
because, um, overthinking is one thing, and I admittedly do that, but and want to try to simplify. But my goal this year has been to be more present. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it's been huge, teaching me exactly what you described, staying out of the past, and out of the future, and really being in the present so that I can access that intuition, that wisdom that you're describing. And so my question for you is, like, what do you do with the doubt or the fear? Like, is it like there's just, you don't allow time for it because it's not productive? Because I think that
Yeah.
for me, that's part
Sorry.
of the overthinking. No, it's fine.
Well, I think it has to do with being older, growing older and realizing that all the fear that I had before, who cares? I love my life. That fear didn't stop the good things.
Mm.
So now when I have fear, it doesn't last very long. I'm talking a couple minutes because it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Right.
My company goes out of business and I lose money and I have to figure it out. But all I have to do to make that not happen is focus, work, and do the right thing, because I know I have a good product. And I don't think I mean, I'm not trying to launch a rocket to the moon. I'm selling drinks in grocery stores, you know? I mean, if
I
you
know.
reduce what you're doing down to the simplest thing, even the rocket part might not even be that complicated because they have teams, they have help.
Oh, I
But when
love
you
it.
reduce down what we're doing, you know, I don't have to walk across the desert. I'm not a refugee. My children are healthy. Every day that I think I have a problem, I realize, you know, I have healthy children. And again, that comes back to being in a small town where I saw accidents, kids, you know, passed away who are my children's age, children who were sick, parents who died. And that the perspective that I got from being in this town and knowing everyone, it's kind of an old-fashioned thing, you know. 100 years ago, I think we experienced death much more closely
Yeah.
because we didn't have hospitals and hospice and all the things we have to remove it from our lives. And I think people had a different perspective, you know, a more intense perspective on how fragile life can be. So I feel like the luckiest person in the world compared to anyone who's suffered some of the things I described.
That's a great reminder because we kind of get absorbed with ourselves and our inadequacies. So I really
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
that. We have to step outside of ourselves. That's one of the reasons I moved to the Bay Area. So I knew out of my backyard, I could be on top of a mountain relatively quickly and just have
Mm.
that remembrance of, you know, my part in the whole, but you know, that the whole is much bigger than me.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important to be in nature too, like you just described. Just go outside and look at the sky or go on a hike. And that's another plus. You live in a small town. I don't know how big Fairfax is these days, but you know, we're both able to go outside and walk around and just experience that. It makes a huge difference.
It does for me. And that leads to my next question, which is really the last question. And how do you resource yourself? Like if you're feeling really low and depleted, you know, because you got your to-do list done, it was particularly challenging that day. What do you do to restore yourself, to resource yourself?
I cook a great dinner. I have a swimming pool with a view of the mountains and it has a jacuzzi. That's how lucky I am. So I'll go and be in the jacuzzi and get in the ice cold pool. I got a sauna from Costco, so I have a sauna in the backyard. You know, I have all these fantastic things to do right outside my door, and I'm very, very lucky to have those things. So by an hour after the day is over, I'm rejuvenated on a certain level just because of those things.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's, you know, washing a day off. I find that those rituals,
Yeah.
I swim in the evening as well, not in my own pool,
Yeah.
but, and it's really big. It's almost like it just washes it away. So maybe it's the
Yeah.
ions. I don't know what it is, but it's like energetically just clearing. It's just incredible. And I do a sauna too. That's like, I love
Yeah.
my sauna. I'm so
Yeah.
into it.
Water's fantastic. I do get annoyed if I'm not in water at least once a week. Not annoyed. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel the stress. I
yeah, it's
feel
like a
the stress.
buildup. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get in the pool every day. I live 12 miles from the ocean. I go to the ocean. I'll just drive, you know, to go to Target or something, and I'll stop in the beach and jump in the water. But
I love
if,
that.
you know, the water it just transcends to a different place on earth. It's great.
Great way to say it, transcends. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's a transcendent feeling. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, ours is a little complicated now, but just with COVID, but yeah, I tend to slide in whenever I can, find a slot because they fill
Yeah.
up. It like liberates every night at midnight, but I can't stay up till midnight.
Are you swimming laps at
Yeah,
a club or something? Yeah.
it's like at
Yeah.
the high school here, Drake, or formerly known as Drake, now Archie Williams. Yeah, they offer for adult swim in mornings and evenings.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cindy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to encourage all of our listeners to check out Pure Wild. It is a beverage that is not only delicious, but also nutritious on a cellular level that's going to help prevent the natural consequences of aging for your joints, your connective tissue, your beauty, your heart, your organs. I mean, it's such an incredible thing. Her flavors are delicious and nutritious. My favorite, I have to say, is the holy basil. Is it hibiscus holy basil? Is that the one? Is that the
Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Blueberry and basil, yeah.
I just love the color because I'm like just wild about all things purple in nature, but the phytocyans, just such intelligent mixtures. Her turmeric blend is also divine, and the lime is like kind of like a limeade. I would say is so delicious. Would you agree?
It's great for margaritas too, for a collagen boost. You can have a collagen cocktail and makes life feel healthier. So that's fun.
And a healthy wine. Could you show us as well, like the wine bottle again?
Yeah,
Or
here's
not
my
again, but
bottle of wine.
ah,
It's Purewild, it's the marine collagen infused Chardonnay. It's the only collagen wine on the market. And I bottled it in Sonoma Valley in August, I think. I just got it. It took about 6 months to navigate getting the formula approved. It's low alcohol, 60 calories a glass, 0 grams of sugar. And I'm putting it on the website as soon as I can. So,
folks, if you drink wine, this is the smarter choice. I mean, that I don't know any wine that's going to beat that profile, that nutritional profile. So just delighted to know about this. And thank you for your innovation, your fortitude, and your inspiration.
thanks. My pleasure. That was fun.